Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everyone on this beautiful Sunday morning in October. And for those of you joining us virtually, we're happy to have you join us as well. And under the auspices of Jetsuma Akonlama, we are pleased to offer this Sunday morning program and to have Khenpo Karze in residence here at KPC. So thank you all very much for joining us today. There's a few brief announcements that I would like to make. A couple of events coming up. Next Saturday, October 25th, from 10 a.m. to noon is the instruction that Khenpo is going to give for the Riksen Dupa practice, which we do many times a week. So I invite you all to come. That will be live and virtual as well. Then also coming up is a very special retreat called the Yungne Retreat. That is November 8th through 10th. You'll find the details on tara.org. So it is a whole weekend that involves purification, fasting, chanting, and prostrations, and it's a very, very powerful practice. So you can learn more about it on tara.org or ask someone here. You can ask Khenpo about it since he's leading the practice. And then following that, coming up is what we call one of the 10 million days, where everything one does is multiplied 10 million times. So that is Laba Duchen on November 11th. So of course, it's considered that everything that you do meritoriously is multiplied 10 million times. And you'd want to do that as opposed to the reverse. So it's a very good day to be here at KPC or to practice. And with that, we will begin the opening program with Khenpo. Thank you, Khenpo.
Also. Sanjay Soji Chona Nation Jabadu Dagi Jinso Jibin Sonam Jindra Sanjin Jabasho Sanjay Chuda Soji Chona Nation Jabadu Dani Jin Dagi Jinso Jibin Sonam Jindra Sanjin Jabasho Sanjay Chuda Soji Chona Nation Jabadu Dani Jabsuchi Dagi Jinso Jibin Sonam Jindra Pension Sanjin Jabasho Sanjin Tamji Dewa Devi Judan Demba Chuchi 동안은 동안지 주던 저와 지지 동안 매비대와 담바다 민라와 지지 니린 차단이 단자에 돈념 침볼한 내버 주지 생전 탐지 대화는 대비 주던 덴바지 동안은 동안지 주던 저와 지지 동안 매비대와 담바다 민라와 지지 니린 차단이 단자에 돈념 침볼한 내버 주지 생전 탐지 대화는 대비 주던 덴바 주지 동안은 동안지 주던 저와 지지 동안 매비대와 담바다 민라와 지 니린자다니다 다님 제발라네 봐주지 공기 땡진데 완전가 매바 제매바 제바매 봤다 오메 버좀에 맞다는데면 땡지바 좀 많이 시시네 뭐做的3级嘛能就当不得了上车咯我就最近变成不嘛了那样是不从吃的你别能把别老大着别嘛那别小了说我的 Good morning Welcome to Sunday meditation class. So last week, last Sunday, we talked about on one of the feeling mindfulness. Then the feeling, when we talk about the feeling, then we should always focus on not temporary pleasures, okay? So we have to focus on the feeling of pain. once we recognize the feeling of pain, then I think will arising a thought, or we can say, like positive thought, escape from that pain. So that's the reason, feeling mindfulness always talking about the pain or suffering, because then Buddha Maitreya, said Nen Sheja Nejijun. Also, Buddha himself taught first turning Dharma wheel, the Four Noble Truth. Then those Four Noble Truth, he mentioned it. Number one is truth of suffering, because he said suffering must be recognized. First, we have to recognize what is the suffering, After that, we know how to escape from that suffering. So if we, how to say, we don't recognize what is suffering, then we never feel, escape from that suffering. So that's just the reason, ne sheja ne jiju ne pangsha la, which means the Buddha Maitreya, ne sheja, just as a disease is to be known. Without, what is the disease? So we don't feel, to go to see doctor or medicine. After we know that what is that I have a disease kind of, then we feel, taking medicines and to see the doctors kind of like that. So this is the reason the Buddha himself, taught the first Dharma turn is actually truth of suffering, So last Sunday we taught about the suffering of suffering, is it? Yeah. So all the suffering divided in three categories, So we can find, many, different sufferings, but briefly, we can say, three categories of suffering, which is one is the suffering of suffering, which we already taught. And then today is the suffering of change. In Tibetan, we call suffering of change. The suffering of change means that no matter where we find ourselves, whether in this world system or any other, even we are in the higher realms, and no matter how seemingly pleasurable and attractive our dwelling place, physical body, or sensory enjoyments, our situations can not possibly remain as it is. So, but it's bound to change because of not being beyond the rules of impermanence, law or what? Laws or rules, impermanence. Then when it does change, then what was previously a pleasurable experience become a source of suffering. It's just like the sorrow caused by death of a child. It is because we were so happy when the child was alive that their death is so painful, So about this, in Sutra, it's said, the suffering of change is that which is pleasant when arising and pleasant when remaining, but painful when ceasing. So that is called, suffering of change. And then also So many, texts are saying that what is the, second suffering of, change. All the pleasures of this world eventually turn into suffering. It is called the suffering of change. In the sutra, one of the we will call Tamchipe Makabo, which we call white lotus compassion. Yeah, I think it's translated into English like that, But in Tibetan, Tamchipe Makabo. In that sutra, the kingdom of God is the causes of suffering. The kingdom of man is also the causes of suffering. Therefore, even if the universe monarchs, eventually it becomes suffering. And then in that, like this, also mention it in letter to a friend, the Nagarjuna. He also said, having become an Indra. Indra is one of a great king, of a universal monarch. Yeah, and fit to be honored by the world, you fall back again upon the earth through the power of karma. Now, even having changed to the status of a universal monarch, you transform into someone with the rank of a servant in samsaric status. So we never know, what you have done, in a previous life, the karmas. Yeah, if you do good karmas, you will become a good, you will be born in a good place or good form or good realms, like higher realms. And if you have done, bad karmas, then you will be born in a hell realms, or even, also, hungry ghosts or animals. We never know, what we, how to say, done in previous lives. Karma is so, how to say, difficult to recognize, like ordinary people's the intelligence or wisdom. We cannot recognize, or we cannot see clearly what we have done, in the previous lives. So that's just the reason, only Buddha, he can explain in details, about causes and conditions and the result about karma. Of course, sometimes we can see clearly, like a rice or potato seeds, when we put in the ground the seed of potato or barley, then if we put all the, conditions, then they'll come out in results. But karma is not like that, It's just so difficult to recognize. Also, Dharma says, oh, no, also said in the Karze letter to a friend, in that, moreover, the king of gods, such as Changba, also kind of universal monarch. Okay, Changba is one of the name of God. Is actually free from the desire, free from all the attachment, the desire realms. Even those God attain the bliss of calmness of mind. After that, then you will be fall down, in lower realms. So also, Nagarjuna, having, attained the extremely great pleasures of the desirable sense object of the desire realms, and the pleasure of the state of a Brahma, which are free of attachment, you will have to entrust yourself once again to an unbroken continuum of sufferings from having become the feel of the flames of a joyless realms of unrelenting pain. Mm. Then those are the main explained in that textbook. What is the uh, suffering of change, all the kind of different sufferings that we have. Not only the human realms, all the 6 steps of being have different kind of sufferings. So then also in the words of my perfect teacher, in that the suffering of change is the suffering of a suffering that we feel when a state uh, happiness, suddenly changed into suffering. One moment we feel fine, satisfied, and full after a good meal, and then suddenly we are wrecked by violent spasms because of parasites in our stomach. One moment we are happy, and then the next moment an enemy plunders our wealth or our livestock, or a fire burns down our home, or we are suddenly stricken by sickness or evil influences, or we receive some terrible news and immediately we are plunged into suffering. So then that is called, suffering of change. There's so many actually, um, masters, explain uh, a little different way, but mostly it's the same meaning. So also in that words of my perfect teacher, for indeed whatever appear in comfort, happiness, or prestige is to be found here in samsara, it lacks the thinnest scrap of constancy or stability. And in the long run we can never resist the round of suffering, therefore cultivate disengagement with it all. In that textbook, saying, what is the suffering of change. And then also, it's called the suffering of change. It's about the due happiness that we always have. What is the problem with such planned, pleasure? Happiness does not last long. The worldly happiness are not really, stay much longer. Like, sometimes we have good meals or money or other things, we have. But those, happiness are not really, stay longer. So happiness does not last long. It does not last forever. It is always, changing. If the happiness we usually think is happiness is real happiness, here we are talking about the happiness which is, long-lasting happiness, which is, never, change. Long-lasting happiness. That happiness only we can achieve when we, attain Buddhahood. That is the reason, the purpose of all the practices about, whether it's Hinayana or Mahayana or Vajrayana, always, aim or target is to achieve Arhat or Bodhisattva or Buddhahood. These three are the main, a result or main fruit, we can say, where we are doing, those practicings or meditation or whatever we are doing, they have some purpose, So that is the number one, purpose of the practicing. Then also, the more happiness we have, the happier we should be. That's not happening. For example, if we enjoy eating, sweet, such as candy, the more candy we eat, the happier we should be. We all know that is not going to happen. Yeah. Also, another example, the imaging, yeah, someone who loves and cares for you, charangi lapa tu rimbo chushu bala some no tongues rubbing your hand for a long time. The feeling of being robbed is quickly replaced by the pain of self-harm, or it feels weird. What does that really mean? It shows that the common good is changing, but we don't have enough of that pleasure, and we are never, satisfied. We always need all kind of, candy and sweets. It's not necessary right now, but after a while, we always want something, I want to this and that, to make your favorite food happy and satisfied. If you think about how much food you should eat, it's interesting to a small bite or a bite of your favorite food should be enough. But otherwise, we always have the urge to eat as much as possible. And now it's not only the Buddhists who want to get rid of those common pleasures of life. Many other non-Buddhist religions are also, taught or teaching about this. How to get beyond the ordinary bliss of life and attain internal bliss like the heavens of God. But in the purpose of Buddhist practice is not only that, to rebirth in higher realms like gods, 16 different places or different gods of form realms, and 4 different gods of formless realms. Of course, some practices are bring result, in the next life you will be born in God realms. But here we are talking about bliss or pleasure or happiness, which is long-lasting happiness. Okay, because in so many masters are talked about this. That the above desire gods and above form and formless gods pleasures are not reliable, that also are going to change. Even God are life is much longer than human. They can live hundred thousands years. But after that, once your karmic or karma is the end, then you have to go someplace, or you have to go rebirth in some like a hell realms or human realms, or we never know, it depends on your karma. So then said Tada, it said, Nagarjuna actually, the pleasure of the desire of the heavenly beings above 6 desire realms are most excellent of the lower ones. After experiencing the pleasure of the 17 gods of form realms and 4 formless realms pleasures for a long time, after that, what comes? He or she must suffer again because of karma. Here, the temporary pleasure of the 3 realms are not our main, concern. Why? Even though higher status, they have, great pleasures of bliss. The level of suffering at their death and shift down is the much greater than that. Having considered like that, respectable people will never crave after exhaustible higher status, rebirth. And also, Nagarjuna said, since recurring samsaras like that, there is no wonderful rebirth as a, celestial, a human, a joyless realm being, a clutching ghost. This is talking about maybe a hungry ghost. All the 6 steps of realms, all are creeping creatures. So now that rebirth is something that turn out to be no more than a vessel of numerous harm. So this is the we are talking about why we are Karze Buddhist point of view, we are always purpose of practicing are not really to achieve or attain the temporary happiness. We are always thinking about all the living beings one day will achieve long-lasting happiness. That is actually all the living beings, attain Buddhahood one day. I mean, to achieve Buddhahood is not easy, but it's still uh, normally Kasoda Mahayana Buddhists or Vajrayana, why we every kind of practices before that we are applying or generate bodhicitta, because of that all the living beings really they want achieve Buddhahood or long-lasting happiness. So reason of that, any kind of practices are causes of to achieve long-lasting happiness. So that is called bodhi. Sometimes we call bodhicit or bodhicitta. It's the same actually. Sometimes in the terms of the Sanskrit, actually chit they call chitta or chit. Sometimes they call chit or sometimes they call chitta, which means soul, kind of. Bodhisattva's soul. It's always concern others. Soul, that kind of soul, always concern others, always thinking about others, always put before others, So whether you are, in a happy or whether you are in a suffering. So you are thinking about always, others. So that kind of, bodhicitta, so we always apply or generate, before the whatever we are practicing. That is what we call, motivation, or intention, or you can say positive thoughts, or positive mind, or what mindset. I mean, if you have that kind of mindset or positive, that kind of thought, then I think nobody will do harm to others. If you have that kind of positive mind or positive thought, you are always concerning about others, and you are always giving important others more than you. So that is the reason, yeah. Then we said, sometimes what is differences between other religions and Buddhist religions, or yeah, sometimes we say that too, like Mahayana or Theravadi. What are differences in between, Theravadi or Mahayana? Of course, those Theravadi also, concern about others, but when it comes to Mahayana, then Mahayana concern others, which is more bigger than Theravadi. So reason of that, it's Theravadi and Mahayana different is bodhicitta. Of course, the Theravadi also concerned about others, but maybe they think about just surrounding you or who close to you. So I really don't know, about that, because we never study in Theravadi what they, have that kind of system, But in a Mahayana or Vajrayana, that they talk about like, more the bodhicitta, always talking about bodhicitta. What is the bodhicitta? Then, you have to immeasurable sentient being. Immeasurable sentient being, which means, all the 6 types of beings, you have to think all this, If you think only, those who loves to you, or those who, surround you, only thinking that, then that kind of, mind or that kind of thought is not considered, bodhicitta mind, actually. Bodhicitta mind is, it doesn't matter, who loves you or who hates you. We have to think all living beings, whether some are, not really, good to you, or some are really, good to you. It's no matter, in the talking about the bodhicitta in the Buddhist Mahayana point of view. Okay, so this is the one reason, we are focusing on suffering. Okay. Once we recognize what is suffering, then we will find a way how to escape, from that suffering. First, we have to know, we have to recognize What is suffering? So ordinary people, of course, sometimes we feel, suffering, but really that kind of mind really not stay longer, Sometimes, those who close to you, they are pass away or they are dead, then we feel, cry or suffering. But after, 1 day or 2 days, it, then we forgot already. Even, our own, parents, when they pass away, well, somebody can, remember maybe, 60 or 70 years after they died. After that, what? Forgot, So we have to first recognize what is the, really, suffering. Then we can apply a method, a way, or sometimes we can say a path. We will find a path how to get rid of from that or get from that, suffering. Okay, so just focus on that. Suffering of change. We can feel or we can kind of focus on what we have right now, like nice clothes in your pocket, have some dollars. So through that dollar, I will buy some good foods, good meals, good candy. After eat, then finish. Yeah, then it's gone. There's no anymore pleasure. So similar like that, we can think. So every kind of the temporary pleasures will change. Okay, so we can think by ourselves, like clothes, money, or car, house. So it will be going to change into suffering. So we can think about that. Okay, a few minutes. Then you can see, I have that kind of wisdom or intelligence to recognize that suffering. Okay. Okay. So this is, really, really important, to, recognize what is the real suffering. Okay. So without recognize what is suffering, then we never found our way, So that is the reason how do we achieve, Buddhahood? Number one is recognize suffering. Okay, without recognizing suffering, then we never, trying to find a way, Yeah. If you don't feel any, sick or ill, then we never think, to see a doctor. Similar like that. If we really, recognize what is the suffering, then we will try to find, how to, escape from that. So then it's said, full mindfulness is at the beginning of uh, mm, beginning of bodhisattva's path. Okay, path in we have, four kind of paths, which is in the Mahayana tradition. How do we achieve Buddhahood? Then we have to, complete all those paths. Part of accumulate, part of, preparation, part of seeing, part of meditation, or we can say golem, meditation, or I don't know really. Then part of kasor. The last one is, the achieve Buddhahood, which is beyond, activities. So, but before that, we have to complete, part of accumulating. In the part of accumulating, the number one practice is what? The full mindfulness. Is it? Yeah, what we already taught about the 37 aspect of Karze, enlightenment. The Bodhisattvas, 37 aspect of enlightenment. All the, the part in briefly included in the 37, So we don't need to focus on the, 84,000 kind of, Buddha taught. So just we can focus on 37. Okay. So this is the one of the, uh, 37 aspect of, Bodhisattva's enlightenment. So number one is full mindfulness practicing. So we are, now practicing, the path, to achieve, Buddhahood. Okay. So long-lasting happiness or to achieve Buddhahood is not, belongs to one person, because it's a, belongs to whole living being. So if it belongs to one person, then why those bodhisattvas and Buddhas, rebirth in this samsara again and again? Because they don't, they know, they already achieved something, If, they, how to say, satisfy that, they don't need to come, again, this samsara. So that is the reason, those long-lasting happiness is not belongs to, one person. This is, the whole universe, belongs to whole universe, So I think, those reason of that, those bodhisattvas and Buddhas can again, rebirth in the, even they, happily rebirth in the hell realms. They know already, how kasota in the hell realms have the suffering, but they happily to go that realms and to help other living beings. That's why we have 6 steps of Buddha, and the 6 realms, different 6 realms have different Buddha forms. You can see. And also, of course, then many bodhisattvas then happily to, go that realms and happily to serve to, people. Okay? So just think, the long-lasting happiness is our main, target or main goal. Not just, a temporary happiness. Of course, temporary happiness is also important, just like, ordinary people. After all, we have to, live until the, our last breath in this samsara, in this world, So we have to, need to share temporary happiness or long-lasting happiness. Share with others, okay? Not just by yourself, okay? Because any kind of, happiness or pleasure, it all belongs to all living being. That is the reason, we always apply any kind of, thought and concern, the others, okay? Not only by yourself, thinking others. That is the reason, okay, we are not, we are always, practicing, okay, all the living beings, just wishing and hope. So one day, all living beings, like, achieve Buddhahood or achieve, those happiness or happy life and healthy life. We're wishing and hoping that, in that way, then, we can improve our kind of practice or our thought. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
If there are any questions, we will pass around this mic. And this is also for people who are online so that they can hear the questions.
Let's say you have an itch and you want to scratch it, but you know you're not supposed to. Is that desire?
We can't say, eating is just a desire, but when we, feel through the itching, feel something, pleasure or comfort, relief. So that is, we call, I think, desire. Yeah, just itching is, I don't know really what we, but through the itching, yeah, if you feel something relief or something pleasure, yeah, okay. Also like that, if we focus on the nice things, nice, a sound, you hear nice sound or you see nice thing, that is, we don't call desire. After that, okay, when we see nice thing or nice clothes, after that you will feel, oh, I want that, I will buy these clothes, okay, because that decision is came from your attach with that, okay. Similar like that sound also, just hearing something, sound is, we don't call that just attach or attachment, but through the sound you feel, oh, I want to listen that music again and again, because you feel something, attached with that music or sound, okay. Yeah, so similar, I think, like that. I really don't know.
Khenpo, I'm just trying to understand better what he said about the itching. I'm thinking about my own situation, like I like to eat, or like somebody offered me something wonderful, but it's very salty. I know that it's not good for me, but I have a desire to eat it, then I suffer from it. So I'm thinking about this itching, that if you know the doctor said don't scratch it because it will get worse. If you are mindful that the long term, which is the long term of ending suffering, is that don't touch it, then you wouldn't be scratching it. Same
Yeah.
thing with me, it's like somebody offered me something, but it's salty, not good for my blood pressure. If I know it is gonna cause long-term suffering, then I really should just not eat it.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, I like this dish, I don't know how to make this, I like to eat this, but the long term is that I will have blood pressure issues. That's a very ordinary example, but
Yeah.
I think I'm just trying to understand about the itching in my own situation with eating something not good for me.
Yeah, like that in the say some like Karze, leprosy. Leprosy.
Yeah.
When we got a small leprosy, if we burn it at that time, you will relieve.
Temporary.
Yeah, temporarily. But if you do that again, then it become a worst. The more painful in the, future. But we have to think, long terms. If you think just in the present relief, then burn it, then in the future you will, get more pain. Okay? Similar like that. All that those, five, sense or what? Faculty? Yeah. Are always like that, we are just focusing just temporarily. Not really we are thinking in a long lasting happiness. Okay? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, now we can do this short prayer, 7 prayer.
We'll read this in English. Home. In the northwest country of Buddhayana, born in the pollen heart of a lotus, endowed with the most marvelous spiritual attachments, you are renowned as the lotus born, surrounded by the energy of many deities. Following in your footsteps, I pray to you, please come forth and grant your blessings. Guru Bema Siddhi Hum, Oma Hum Benzam Guru Bema Siddhi Hum. Your thousand universal monarchs, your thousand eyes, the thousand Buddhas of this golden age, you who teach each and every one of us according to our needs, Lord Avalokiteshvara, to you I pay homage. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. Mani Padme Hum. 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 Mani Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Hum Shri. And then the dedication page on the backside. By this virtue,
May all swiftly accomplish the state of Chenrezig, and may all sentient beings without exception
be placed in that very state. And by this effort,
may all sentient beings be free of suffering. May their mind be filled with the nature of virtue. In this way, may all causes resulting in suffering be extinguished, and only the light of compassion shine toward all realms.
Thank you again for joining us today on this beautiful Sunday morning. As a way of both connecting with our teachers and expressing gratitude for the teaching, we welcome you to make offerings, which you may do in those baskets to Jetsuma Akonlamo, our spiritual teacher and founder, to Khenpo Karze, and to KBC Temple. You can also do it online, and there's some QR codes over there as well. Following this teaching, we have some light refreshments if you want to hang out for a few minutes. It's always an enjoyable part of this program in a very informal way. And lastly, there is a drum circle at 1 o'clock, which is in about 15 minutes. And it's drumming for rain, which we've been successful in lately. Of course, we can't claim all the credit, but anyway, it's a fun activity to drum. And Tara, is it on this side now, or is it across the street? Okay, so the drumming is right across River Road at the Guru Rinpoche statue at 1 o'clock. Just be very careful crossing the road. So again, I hope you stay for a few minutes and enjoy the company, and we hope to see you again next Sunday.
There's one other thing. That's all right. One other thing. Anybody able-bodied that wants to help remove a few air conditioners, we could use some help as well today. I'd like to do that. Just let me know. Have some refreshments though. Thank you.
So just hang on, and I'm sure those light refreshments will be arriving momentarily.